The microbiome is the topic of discussion today, and I want to pinpoint that when we think about the microbiome, we think about, the gut, probiotics. There's so much more to it. So we're going to bring on Mike Rhees, who is a member of my team, and he's going to talk to us more about what the microbiome really is and how we should actually be building it, rebuilding it, maintaining it, all the things, and why that it's so important no matter what your patients are dealing with. Like, this is a requirement in all of our protocols because it's that important. So Mike, it's all yours.
That's awesome. Thanks, Kylie. Hey, awesome. So there are 5 systems that I like to look at or examine when putting together a protocol, and not just the initial protocol with a brand new client or a patient, but for longevity, for them to continue to see more and more results, not just for maintenance, but for optimization. And those 5 systems that I like to look at, which helps you as the practitioner decide on what you're going to do next and what your roadmap is for your client, your patient, are skin, immune, brain. We get to use this better form of teaching that we all like, the visual aid that Kylie does with her whiteboard. Okay, thanks, Kylie. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. All right, we got those 3. What are the other 2? Skin, brain, immune. Anybody want to guess? There's two more that I really like. Okay, gut. Gut is definitely part of all of these. Nervous system, that would be part of the brain. Okay, Amy got one of them, hormones. And I like nervous system. Absolutely, that's covered. Like Amber, that's a big deal. Nervous system, part of the brain category. When you're looking at like nutrition, herbs, microbiome, all the things, those things that target the brain are also helping with the nervous system for the most part. So good point there. One more. Anybody want to guess what it is? Oh, mouth, oral. That's a good one. That should be there, but it's not one of the 5. Sorry, I'm making this tricky because they're all good. Organs, yes. I mean, all the organs they're all involved. And really, here's what happens. We often focus on a brand new client, and the question becomes, what protocol do I put this new client through? And the goal of like a initial protocol is to like reset things. But once they gain momentum, and let's say they've been through this full-fledged protocol for 3 months, right? Then they're finished. Then we want to ask the question, what of these 5 do we need to still focus on, zero in? What's the priority? All of them are important, obviously. They're all kind of intertwined in some way, but we still need to kind of find our niche for that client, or the niche that we're just passionate about as a practitioner. The other one is metabolic. So metabolic would be the other one. Elimination is so key throughout the entire process, and it applies to every one of these systems. Liver, kidneys, major focus. In fact, what makes that so unique is before we focus on skin, immune, brain, hormone, metabolic, before we even go there, we have to focus on the liver and the kidneys. We have to do a detox. Where practitioners often get puzzled is, what do I do next after this well put together protocol that I just put my patient through for the first 3 months? And do I put them through this other like maintenance thing here, or what do I do? Where do I focus? And that's why I like to have these as kind of anchors to look at, because your client, although they've had some successes, maybe they're sleeping better now, maybe they feel better, they have less headaches, their headaches are less regular, maybe their gut feels better, they don't have as much bloat or gas, or their constipation has gone down a little bit. Maybe they've really made some significant strides over these last 3 months, these last 90 days. However, skin issues are still part of that struggle they're dealing with. And I'm not saying that the initial 3 months can't resolve a lot of skin issues or immune issues. But let's say that psoriasis is kind of their thing. Or let's say that rosacea, dermatitis, eczema, that's just kind of something that they've battled with for years. Maybe they're the skin person. So then what we need to do is kind of zero in on that and put together the next plan of attack for that. Let's say immune is their main thing, right? They've got a lot of inflammation, and when they get hit by the bad guys, when they get the bad bug, they have a hard time keeping it at bay. They get sick more often, and they have a hard time just keeping that at bay and overcoming that the sickness. There's other immune conditions, I realize. Metabolic, maybe they are a type 2 diabetic. And those first 3 months, they've had some successes. However, they're still dealing with type 2 diabetes. How do we now optimize that? With hormones, maybe they're still battling PCOS. Their testosterone's high, other hormones are low. They have some blood sugar regulation that needs to take place. Maybe they're postmenopausal and estrogen is very low. They're struggling with other symptoms related to postmenopausal symptoms. So they had these successes those first 3 months, but now we just need to take it further. The whole goal of like a foundational protocol is to be this launch pad that gets the ball rolling. They gain momentum. It opens up everything. It's so that then we can like catapult everything forward after that. Everything else becomes more efficient and better. Now that we're this far, the microbiome is really the number one goal, the number one focus before anything else. So before vitamins, before minerals, microbiome comes before vitamins and minerals. It comes before your multivitamin, your methylated B vitamins, your magnesium, your calcium, your zinc. And I'm going to explain. The microbiome is what we should have at the very top of the checklist. And there's a reason for that. And that regardless, if your client has a skin issue, if they have if they're immune compromised, if they have a neurological issue, if they have neurodegenerative concerns or have a lot of ADHD, whatever the symptoms, condition, the microbiome comes first. And microbiome also comes first for hormones, metabolic, etc. Here's why. So why would we prioritize that so highly? Because I think that the microbiome has been often positioned as an accessory. It's like, oh, we got to go through this cleanse and hopefully we get the neutrophils down and, blood work, infection markers look better. All of that is really good. But we tend to put microbiome kind of over here for later. Like it's this add-on or it's this kind of like it's this accessory instead of a primary. And what I want to do is do a 180-degree turn from that and look at the microbiome as the primary instead of the accessory to all of your protocols. And it's so easy to put this into play. I'm going to give some examples here. This is so easy to do this. Okay, let's look at this. Number one for me, if you go back to the basics, is the microbiome. Number two is nutrition. So number two, when I say nutrition, I'm really referring to like micronutrients, vitamins. Okay, vitamins, all of them, all of the vitamins. Vitamins A, vitamin E, C, D3. We put a lot of emphasis on D3. We love vitamin D products. We want to get the vitamin D levels up. That's always a big thing. B vitamins, methylated B vitamins, those are a big deal. So I like to put all the vitamins, all the minerals as like step 2.
So,
And
guys, think about this as when you're creating a protocol, we're not just saying like after the foundational or after this. If you want to make a like one size fits all protocol and then trust that it's going to get people better. And I hear everybody comes to our world saying, Kylie, I hate the one-on-ones. Can you get me out of the one-on-ones? Yes, I can. But you have to have a protocol that can work for the masses. Whatever your niche is, these are the things that you want to incorporate into your protocol. So number 1 for us is microbiome. Number 2 would be what Mike just said is the nutrition. So things like minerals, vitamins, those kinds of things, in addition to the blood work and what the blood work tells us. Okay. So what we're thinking of here is if you're thinking about this as a timeline of patients where it's like, okay, Kylie, we got to fix the infections. And then what's next? Because we often get asked what happens after the 90 days. Here it is. Mike's got it. So back to that. That's why I answered. Microbiome is incorporated into every protocol we create. That's what we're saying. Is this isn't just an accessory for us. This is and the more you get into it with Mike, the more you get into it with Shane, and it's not just the gut. That's what we're getting into today. There's 5 pieces: the skin, the immune system or the gut, the brain or the nervous system, hormones, the endocrine system, and then of course there's metabolic. There's actually like bugs, as Dr. Shane calls them, on your skin. So that would be the skin microbiome. There are bugs inside your brain. Bugs meaning like probiotics, prebiotics, lactobacillus, those kinds of things. That's what it refers to as bugs. There are specific ones of them in your brain. So when it comes to the microbiome, it's not just what are the probiotics and prebiotics happening inside my gut. It is a whole big, massive component to our health that we're just barely skimming the surface on in most protocols. So we're here today to teach you there's got to be more to it than just gut. There's got to be more to it than taking one protocol for one probiotic, the same for month after month after month. So we're here to train you on what can go inside a protocol, what needs to go inside a protocol in order for you to feel confident running a group program that serves the masses at one time.
Fantastic.
We got microbiome, we have nutrition.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yep. And keep in mind that in a initial protocol, the question is, what are we trying to accomplish in an initial 90-day protocol without getting carried away? And what's the protocol? Just in that initial 3 months, what are we trying to accomplish? Well, we're trying to accomplish a lot, right? There are a lot of different pieces. However, number one thing is we're rectifying the microbiome. We are rectifying that microbiome, and there are reasons why we're doing that. So the goal of a one-size-all-fits-all protocol, if you put together a protocol that's far-reaching for all of your clients, the goal of that is to rectify their microbiome. Because once you do that, nutrition, vitamins, minerals, nutrition, and herbs will metabolize better in the body. So when you look at all the nutritional supplements out there and all your favorites, whether they are for skin, immune, hormones, metabolic, and brain, they will actually work better and more efficiently if we can get the microbiome where it needs to be. So that's really the goal here. And how
many of you guys have patients that say, well, I just don't feel like I'm digesting my food. I just don't feel like I'm absorbing my food. You want to fix that? Mike's got the answers.
Can't tell you how many requests I get from practitioners, and I have over the last decade, about that very concern. And And it's easy to look at, well, we just give them some enzymes. Okay, let's get rid of your infections. However, there's more to it than that. And the microbiome is a big piece in terms of how well we're digesting not just protein, carbs, and fats, but all these other compounds from the foods that we eat. So nutrition is number 2. Number 3 is herbs. The microbiome can dictate, you remember this, the microbiome can dictate how nutrition behaves in the body and how herbs behave in the body. So if you were to look at like a hormone-related product that is helping to balance estrogen, it's helping to like detox estrogen. Okay, there's a lot of examples out there. A lot of you really liked Femicrin, for example, by Systemic, and now there's a new one coming out. There's another one by Cellcore, STRO. There's other ones out there that may be your favorite, like that help balance hormones. Well, those herbs will work better for the endocrine system when the microbiome that is specific to the endocrine system has been replenished and regenerated. If that makes sense. So let's share some examples here. And let's kind of do a deep dive into brain health. Because I think when I've asked the question in multiple groups and I've asked them like, where do you want to focus first of these 5? It seems like unanimously, although we definitely love to talk about all of them, brain seems to be that first priority. Brain is where we want to go first. And so I'm going to do that right now and share with you some insights about anxiety, depression, anger, hostility, other conditions that we are confronted with and our clients as practitioners. And all right. So the brain is a huge focus. And when we look at the specific bugs that Kylie talked about, what happens is you can actually ingest these microbiota, and they can in turn not only impact our gut, but also the brain. And there are specific ones that are more targeted towards the brain, or they're more fine-tuned to help with brain health. And where there are studies demonstrating that some of these bacteria strains help with alleviating anxiety, depression, because what they do is they balance neurotransmitters. So your excitatory neurotransmitters, your calming neurotransmitters, all of the above. The dopamine, the serotonin, the GABA, the norepinephrine, the epinephrine, all these different things that we want to be kind of firing and wiring appropriately will do so when we actually have this microbiome therapy going on. And what often happens is for those who do have these symptoms that are mental, emotional, neurological, where they do have a lot of anger, hostility, depression, anxiety, brain fog, the list goes on, they are commonly deficient in these types of bugs. So not just in B vitamins and vitamin D and omega-3s and these others that are really important, but also in these bacteria strains. So Kylie, if I could, I'm going to share my screen just for a moment. This guy right here, okay, that is a bacteria probiotic formula for the brain. And without having to memorize or become bored and looking at that long list, that label there with all those unique names of bacteria strains, if you were to break down each and every one of those, you would find that they have a lot of influence on the brain. And furthermore, they have studies about how they impact different conditions related to the brain. Just this one product alone And
Mike, can you speak out a little bit about the product for those who are just listening to the audio?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, okay, so what I'm showing here, this is called Neuro Ubiomic. Neuro Ubiomic. You can find this at Systemic Formulas. It's an Alimentum Labs product. And it focuses on the gut-brain axis, also known as the vagus nerve. And this is the primary focus for all of your brain protocols before you go anywhere else. That's what I'm suggesting. This comes first. This is where...
So if you're dealing with someone who has a brain component, brain symptoms, anxiety, depression, ADD, ADHD, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You would recommend that this neuroubiomic is included in every step, in every protocol. I know for sure every protocol. The first product in the first microbiome product in the protocol designed for anxiety, depression. I know what you're going to say. I'm just trying to lead you down to how to say it.
I like the way you were putting that, though. Your question was, do we put this in every step, or do we put this in...
So if you're treating somebody with anxiety and depression, ADHD, ADD, heck, MS, all these things that are related to the brain and the nervous system, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, maybe you're just wanting that mental clarity, brain fog.
Yeah.
When you're treating somebody with these symptoms, we would include this neuroubiomic product in the protocol for sure.
Yes.
I personally, I would think you would do the same thing, would include it in the very first step because I'm treating those symptoms.
So what we would do, what I'm referring to, Kylie, where I wanted to focus the attention really, and maybe this will clarify things, is after the initial, like if somebody does a 90-day one size all fits all protocol in 90 days, what do they do next?
Got it.
This is where they do this next. I know that whenever we talk probiotics, we have to clarify that there are those who are weary to start with probiotics right out of the gate. I totally understand. This is a probiotic. And there are those that are concerned about holding off until, maybe after we do the cleanse. The goal of this workshop is to not talk about all that necessarily, but what I would do is with neuroubiomic is I would, if the brain, if a mental situation is the concern, if the priority, this would come next.
So after you do your initial cleansing, detox, whatever that is in your initial phase, whatever it is, then our next question that we're always getting asked is, okay, now what? Here's the now what. If you have a mental, say you're running a group program for anxiety and depression, or you're running a group program for postpartum depression, you do the initial bulk of the work that you got to do, go in and destroy and detox all the things. And then that next step, you would focus on immediately adding the neuroubiomic to the protocol, because that's what it's addressing, is the postpartum stuff. And then I'm sure we'll get into the other ones as well. So does that make sense? Scale of 1 to 10. I know where Mike's going. I'm just helping lead.
I appreciate that. Keeping me on task here, organizing this. I think here's where it really gets excited. When you break down foods that have been shown to be good for the brain, like spinach, kale, broccoli, chickpeas, blueberries, dark chocolate, green tea. I'll kind of go through some of those again, but like in particular, foods for depression, like green tea, grapes, apples, cherries, blueberries, dark chocolate. They all have these polyphenols.
They will never know completely.
They all have these compounds in them. And those compounds are metabolized, or they're absorbed that much better once we've beefed up our microbiome. So with this product that has all these bacteria strains, the idea is that we're going to replenish the gut, and that replenishes the brain. And then when we eat these types of foods, and I didn't mention all of them. I know that there are other therapeutic foods to incorporate into one's diet for depression, but those foods will metabolize even better. Because what happens is not only does the bacteria in the gut recolonize and grow and perpetuate, and not only does that help the brain, but you start to beef up the mucosal barrier, this mucosal lining of the small intestine and the large intestine. And if you do that, then consequently that will secrete enzymes to break down those foods even better. For example, a lot of these nutritious foods for the brain, they have carbohydrates in them. I understand that. And some of you maybe are incorporating carnivore and that's what's working best for you. And I get that. But where there are a lot of these foods like grapes and berries and these greens and others that have carbohydrates, they will actually, the gut will do a much better job initially in the small intestine at converting those carbs, breaking them down and sending them back to the bloodstream appropriately if the mucosal barrier is healthy. If the mucosal barrier and if this microbiome is desolate, if it's been eroded, if it's been damaged, if it's lacking, then there won't be this appropriate handling of these carbohydrates that you eat, where people will upgrade their diets, they'll eat these greens, they'll eat some of these other compounds that have anti-cancerous nutrition and all these goodies in them, but they're not getting the full benefit if their mucosal barrier has been damaged and eroded. And in that case, there's such a thing as leaky gut, where larger particles and toxins are leaked out of the intestines. And then that causes a rise in, immune system response, inflammation, and even infections in the bloodstream. So where I get really excited about beefing up the microbiome and the mucosal barrier, because over time, it's really what will help keep the infections, the neutrophils, the eosinophils, the lymphocytes, monocytes, keep them in a healthy functional range. The killing, the detoxing, all of that is very good, but long-term, keeping the gut healthy is what is going to keep infections at bay. That's ultimately what's going to happen. And there's all these other benefits. So when it comes to nutrition, like how we supplement as well, if you're going to continue to use vitamin D3 in your protocols, which you should, continue to use vitamin D. Immune-genic, for example. Immune-genic by Alimentum Labs is one that we recommend in our protocols. And that how vitamin D works in the body and how it's absorbed is also aided by a healthy microbiome. And so likewise, the B vitamins, methylated B vitamins, the vitamins A, E, C, those chief antioxidants, those are also more readily absorbed and metabolized better. So you'll have a better response to these other supplements you're using when the microbiome is up to speed. And so when we answer that question of what's next, after you've finished a 3-month protocol, if that's your kind of, that's the way you run your protocols, 3 months. Once you're finished with that, and you ask the question, what's next for this patient? Are they a brain person? Are they skin? Are they immune? Or what are they? Where do we need to focus? If it's brain, let's go there. Let's start with neuroubiomic. That's the top priority. It'll help in so many ways. But then another way that we're going to also aid the microbiome of the gut and in the brain is through prebiotics, not just probiotics. Prebiotics are fibers that are like fertilizer. They feed the microbiome. So that's really, it's a very simple thing, and we have this laid out very easily for us. These particular products by Alimentum Labs have a lot of diversity in them, and they were formulated specifically for that system. In this particular case, there is a neuro superfood that you would pair with Neurobiomic. That's an example of pairing this probiotic, this prebiotic bundle, bringing that together to give the brain fuel. So you have somebody that has signs of Alzheimer's, you have an adolescent that has trouble focusing in school, you have somebody with a lot of ADHD symptoms, even autism spectrum disorder. What about autism protocols? What about difficulty with recall? Difficulty with even short-term memory? The list goes on. And I think we're presented with, as clinicians, at an ongoing basis, all these different common symptoms related to the brain. And when you pair the prebiotics, these fibers that have been studied and shown to benefit brain health, and you pair that with bacteria that has also been studied to help improve brain health, you bring those two together, you're well on your way to help those clients and those individuals that have those issues. And then as they improve their diets, they will see more improvements from the foods that they're eating because of their microbiome. Because these additional microbes in the body will help better metabolize those nutrients. All right, you guys, that is a lot of talk about the brain. And I could just, what I'm going to do here for just a moment to give you an idea of this specific brain product, Neurobiomic. There is one probiotic that supports mood regulation. It actually helps the body produce GABA, which is really cool. So it will help the brain produce more of the neurotransmitter GABA or GABA. And it also will help with the bioavailability of magnesium and zinc. So there's one of these, lactobacillus, and the second name, I'm not going to pronounce it for you, but it starts with a D. Just one of these little strains that's put in Neurobiomic that Dr. Shane Morris put in there, it actually increases the bioavailability of minerals. So you're consuming this magnesium product and these electrolytes and consuming zinc, you're going to get more bang for your buck because of how this bacteria is working in the body, which is really cool. Magnesium-rich foods that you could eat, like black beans and zinc-rich foods like oysters, beef, pumpkin seeds, other magnesium-rich foods. I mean, the list does go on and on. This bacteria strain in this product can actually help enhance their absorption, help you get more out of the minerals that you're consuming. Another one in particular reduces inflammation in the brain. There is a bacteria strain that helps the body to produce more butyrate. And by making more butyrate, it's reducing this neuroinflammation, which is very common. It's very prevalent with these neurodegenerative issues. And even kids with behavioral problems, let's say, or other conditions like chronic depression or chronic anxiety, where there is a lot of inflammation and there's a lot of neurotransmitter imbalance. When you have a specific bacteria that benefits the brain like that, and it reduces the inflammation, it produces this butyrate and has that effect. Really cool stuff. And one of the things that another beneficial nutrient, omega-3s. Omega-3 fatty acids give the brain a lot of fuel. in different ways. So omega-3s, whether you're supplementing it, whether you're getting it from marine or foods or seafood, those omega-3s will also be absorbed better, metabolized better with some of these particular bacteria in this neuro-eubiomic. So that's also very exciting too. It's going to enhance the uptake of fats in your diet, including omega-3s. We often talk about serotonin. We often talk about how needed serotonin is. What happens is one of the bacteria strains in this product, neuro-eubiomic, it produces serotonin precursors. So it actually is going to aid in stabilizing mood, boosting mood if that's what's needed, because it'll help to produce this serotonin precursor. The list goes on, and you could break down each of these bacteria strains, but I just wanted to give you a snapshot of how important a diverse probiotic can have on that system and on many other things, the diet, the other supplements that we consume.
I think they all got the idea where it's like, okay, after you do your whatever you're doing, it's for the beginning part, whether it's Cellcore Foundation or our foundation, like everybody has their own foundational protocol. And if you don't have one yet, you need to get one. And not just get one as in like go call somebody and get theirs, but create yours.
Yes.
And the only way to create it is to go do it and to test it out and to manipulate and things like that. So learning about things is great, but I see like a handful of people in here that are constantly learning, but I want to challenge you guys to actually go do. That's what me and Mike have done our entire careers I graduated in 2017, it's 2024. I've done and I've launched and I've manipulated and I've tested and I've tweaked and I've to come behind the scenes from what I've done is more important than what I know. Because I guarantee you that I do not know anything more than any of you guys do. In fact, as far as a clinician is concerned, I'm probably the lowest on the totem pole inside this call right now. But I can almost guarantee you that I'm making more money than everybody because I'm going and doing the stuff. So please, 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 please go do. Take what we train you on. If you're in our programs, please go do more than just stay on sales calls and training calls and learning, because you're going to learn more by doing it than you are going to by me and Mike telling you. So that's the brain. Let's talk about the skin, the immune, the hormone, and the metabolic really quick.
Awesome. To do this really quick, let's pull up your whiteboard and let's break it all down. Make this as efficient as possible. So we have the skin. We're starting with that. We also have immune, we have metabolic, and we have hormones. And they each also have the microbiome. And so I think we all understand the concept that we restore the gut microbiome, and there are particular probiotics that help the skin thrive. There are particular probiotics that help the immune system thrive. Hormones thrive. Even the metabolism is really cool. So for example, all right, so we break this down. Underneath each of these categories, Kylie, let's put probiotics. And then just put pro and pre. So probiotics, prebiotics under each and every one of those. And the question often becomes, how do you rotate these? When do I start these? Can I start these right out of the gate? Do I have to wait until month 4? And the reason maybe I've been a little more cavalier about order is because it's up to you. There's no right or wrong answer there. If you have somebody with severe skin issues, if they have psoriasis or eczema, rosacea, dermatitis, any of those, all those things, acne, get them started on these skin products. If they have a lot of leaky gut and they have like small intestine bacterial overgrowth, hold off on some probiotics, okay, for the time being. But otherwise, like if you're wondering, like, can I start this right away? This person is really struggling with their skin. Like, you can start this. And if their immune system is challenged, you can start with the immune probiotic and the prebiotic. Okay. Likewise with hormones and metabolic. Okay. You're going to have to decide on that. There is no right or wrong indoctrinated answer that I'm going to give you. You can start with these right out of the gate, or you can start with these in month 4. You could, I think the ease of starting with your own foundational protocol first and then moving into these, that's a easy to comply with setup for protocols. But physiologically, you could start with these sooner. So, all right. So probiotics, prebiotics, vitamins and minerals, and herbs, they all have their place. We need to have the vitamins and minerals for a healthy microbiome. So that they still come into play. In fact, when Shane Morris studied bugs for so many years, he experienced a lot of trial and error. He saw them on a petri dish. He experienced so much research with combining different bacteria strains and seeing when they would die early or when they would thrive. And the microbiome needed the same nutrition that we need. They needed the antioxidants. They needed the vitamins and these minerals, these foundational pieces. So while the microbiome helps us respond better to those nutrients, we need the nutrients for the microbiome as well. So I wouldn't suggest that you do just probiotics and prebiotics and call it good and say, I'm done. My skin's good, my immune system's good, hormones, metabolic, everything's all right. We still need to pay attention to those others. So the vitamins and minerals and herbs, it's about bringing it all together. And that's why for a maintenance protocol, for something to optimize so that your patients continue to receive better and better and better results, and they prevent that crud from coming back, is we do microbiome and we add it to nutrition. Microbiome, nutrition, herbs, and that's how we nourish every one of these body's systems. And it makes it a lot easier for us because of the products that we have in our arsenal. And Alimentum Labs is a great way to do that because they have products that target all of these, in addition to like their vitamins, minerals, and their other components. So, man, there's a lot. Time flies, right, Kylie? Time flies. But essentially, as you get moving along and you see symptoms subside with skin, then it's time to rotate into the next category. If you see that their hormones, that they're seeing better symptoms and results with having gone through this hormone bundle, okay, they're taking the prebiotics, probiotics, they're taking the right nutrition, you can rotate into the next one. Over the long haul, the goal is to rotate and to get the benefits of all of the above, not just stay on one for a long month after month after month period of time. It's better to rotate as much as possible because then we diversify all of these different types of microbiome or microbiota in our body that will help our brain, skin, immune, hormone, and even blood sugar. And so that's really the message is find out where your niche is, where you want to focus, what's your passion. Do you have a patient that's presenting more skin issues than anything else, or do they present more immune issues than anything else? They present more hormone. Focus in on that. But then after you focus on that and then you see progress, rotate, and And that really is how you can put together a nice optimization, ongoing, continual progressing strategy of therapy protocols for each and every one of your clients, regardless of where they're at. So each system has their own superfood except for skin. Denise, there is no superfood for skin.
Mike, will you run us through the products really quick? So like, what's the skin, what's the immune, what's the hormone, what's the metabolic? And then if there's a superfood, and I'll write it down on the whiteboard.
Yeah, so with skin is derma eubiomic. And then we have a serum. So instead of a prebiotic, instead of a superfood for the skin, we have a serum, a topical.
What's it called?
Yeah, it's derma serum, SERUM. People have asked, Mike, can I consume the serum? Can I consume the derma serum? It's like, sure, go ahead. You don't need to because the derma eubiomic already has, it's in a capsule that's meant for ingestion.
And what's the superfood for it? Is there one?
There is a prebiotic, and it's called Skin Virome.
Okay.
Virome. So that one, Skin Virome is it targets a bacteria that's associated with acne and other inflammatory conditions of the skin. So that one's like more for, you put that on with a cotton swab over the affected area and you wait. Let that one kind of do its thing for an hour or two. And then you can add the derma serum and eat the derma eubiomic. Skin Virome's more of like the anti-inflammatory stuff for the skin.
What about immune?
And immune, we've got the eubiomic, immune eubiomic. If you are a fan of the old MBC at Systemic, have you ever used that? Any of you Systemic formulas patrons in here, if you like MBC? Immune eubiomic, that's like the next level of MBC. So that's very diverse, very helpful. Immune superfood is going to be the next one. I anticipate they'll have that label updated. If you shop for it right now, it's under Prebiome, and I anticipate they'll have that label updated soon. Same stuff. Immune prebiome or immune superfood. Hormone eubiomic, and hormone superfood. Hormone superfood right now, if you're looking for the hormone superfood, you're going to find it as Biocrine Prebiome. So this next name will be a lot easier. But Biocrine Prebiome, I believe Systemic still has some stock of that. It's the same exact powder.
As the hormone superfood?
Yeah. Hormone superfood, Biocrine Prebiome, same thing, different label. They had to update the label.
Okay, so we'll just...
Yeah.
Moving forward, it's hormone superfood. And the metabolic?
Metabolic, that's coming. But I think overall, here's the message with metabolic. With metabolic, we benefit the metabolism, we benefit blood sugar, we digest carbs, we digest the foods better and stabilize A1C, glucose when we have a healthier microbiome. There's no question. We can help regulate blood sugar that much better if we get our gut up to speed, the right microbiome. So all of these are going to help with metabolic. Now, in the future, they will have metaboeubiomic, I believe. Metaboeubiomics, there will be specific bugs for body composition and metabolism, which is really exciting. Akkermansia and some of these others. So the more gut-centric one that they have, that's Terra. The more gut-centric one. So the reason I like to position Terra as the first, I usually put that in the initial 90 days, is Terra is more gut-specific. It's going to be the most pertinent one for leaky gut, SIBO, IBS, bloat, gas, constipation, all those things. Anything that's gut misery, like Terra Eubiomic. And yeah, there's the Terra Eubiomic and the Terra Superfood. So Terra Eubiomic is really good for that. In fact, Terra Eubiomic, those soil-based strains are okay for like SIBO people. You don't have to be worried about that. So that's gut-centric, but microbiome should be foundational. It should be a primary for everything you do. Once you've reset the microbiome in that initial protocol, now is the time to rebuild every month. And what we found is that, and I'm sure Kylie, you could attest to this, but the infection markers, when we're anticipating, we want those to come down and see results where that usually happens after they've rebuilt the gut rather than immediately after they've done the killing. The killing's good, but the infections are where we want them to be after they've rebuilt the gut.
Yes. And everybody jumps the gun on that. Like, I want to make sure my viral infection's gone. I want to make sure my infections are gone. So then they'll take a test and their labs are worse. Oh no, Kylie, didn't work. You didn't finish the project. You literally took a test on yourself in the middle of a project. Finish the project and then take the test. Then see what happens. All right, guys, there's the microbiome. So remember, it's 5 pieces: skin, immune, brain, hormone, metabolic, not just gut. And that's the key, is it is multifaceted. We got bugs on our skin, we got bugs on our nose, we got bugs in our mouth, we got bugs in our brain, we got bugs running our hormones. So when you fix them, I don't want to say fix. What was the word that you used? Started with a re.
Rectify.
Rectify, there you go. When you rectify the microbiome, it can impact all systems, all symptoms, and all diagnoses. So pretty cool. All right, I think that's a wrap.